The 144,000, God's last generation. Year 2035. Chapter 1, The Silence of the Circle. The dust had settled long ago. The Great Culling, as the historians of the New Rome called it, was a memory etched into the collective consciousness of the survivors. Nuclear fire had not destroyed the world, it had pruned it. The chaos of the early 2030s, the manufactured famines, the biological scourges, and the strategic detonations had reduced the world population to a manageable 500 million. Now, in 2035, the Earth was quiet. It was a terrifyingly efficient peace. Elias stood on the balcony of his habitation unit in Region 4, formerly North America. He looked out not at a curvature, but across the vast, leveling plain of the Earth. The horizon was a straight line, sharp as a razor, stretching endlessly until it vanished into the atmospheric haze. Above, the sky was not an infinite void of expanding space, but a tangible ceiling, the firmament, glowing with the artificial hue of the synod's weather modifiers. He knew the truth now. Gravity was a lie to sell a spinning ball. It was merely density and buoyancy. We were not flying through a vacuum. We were enclosed, watched, and kept. The world had been reorganized into 10 administrative regions, managed by the Decemviri, 10 artificial general intelligences, interconnected and absolute. But above the machines sat the man, Pontifex Maximus Aurelius II, the Pope. He ruled from the rebuilt enclave in Region 1, Europe, the head of the beast system. The nations had surrendered their sovereignty to the Vatican's spiritual and political authority, believing that only a moral, centralized power could prevent another culling. Elias turned back into his room, his heart hammering against his ribs. On his table lay a contraband object, unearthed from the ruins of an old library basement he had been assigned to digitize and destroy. A King James Bible. He opened it, the pages brittle. He had been reading for months, hiding it in the floorboards. The system taught that monotheism was the root of all war. They preached universal consciousness and the divine self. But the words on these pages cut through the digital fog. For the mystery of iniquity doth already work. 2 Thessalonians 2:7. The screen on his wall flickered to life. The face of Cardinal D'Amico, the High Minister of Unity, the false prophet, appeared. He was a charismatic man, his eyes warm, his voice enhanced by neuro-linguistic programming algorithms. Warmly, citizens of the 10 regions, D'Amico smiled. The transition is complete. The Synod reports 99% optimization in resource distribution. Poverty is gone. Hunger is a memory. But a virus remains. Not biological, but ideological. There are those who cling to the old myths of a separate, judgmental God. They deny the divinity within us all. They deny the light-bearer who brought us knowledge. Elias gripped the table. The light-bearer, Lucifer. The mask was slipping. Effective immediately, D'Amico continued. The possession of monotheistic texts, specifically the Judeo-Christian Bible, is a Class A felony. Worship of any deity outside the universal system is treason against the human family. We move forward as one, or not at all. Elias looked at the Bible. He read Matthew 24:9. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. He was not alone. He knew there were others. The Spirit of truth was moving across the plain of the earth, waking the remnant. The countdown had begun. Chapter 2, The Loud Cry, 42 months. For 3.5 years, the tension tightened like a noose. The world was a technological utopia for the compliant. The digital ID, a precursor to the final step, was required for travel, food rations, and medical care. But for the awakened, it was a time of desperate urgency. Elias had fled the city. He moved through the rural outskirts of Region 4, meeting in barns, caves, and abandoned bunkers with the growing network of believers. They were a ragtag group, former atheists, disillusioned Catholics who saw the Pope's blasphemy, and historians who had realized the cosmological lie of the globe. They called themselves the Remnant. "We have to warn them," Elias argued one night, the firelight casting shadows on the cave walls. Revelation 14, "We are the angels with the message. We have to tell them about the judgment." "They will kill us," said Sarah, a former nurse who had refused to administer the mandatory spiritual alignment vaccines. "They will kill us anyway," Elias replied. "But we must give the loud cry, 'Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues.'" And so they began. It was a guerrilla war of information. They hacked into local feeds, broadcasting scriptures. They spray-painted warnings on the polished walls of the megacities. They distributed handwritten tracts explaining that the aliens the government claimed were our seeders were actually fallen angels, the principalities of Ephesians 6. The beast system responded with fury. In Region 1, Pope Aurelius sat on a throne of gold and chrome, flanked by the servers of the Decemviri. "They are a cancer," he whispered. "They reject the evolution of the soul." Cardinal D'Amico stood before the World Assembly. "Behold!" he shouted. He raised his hands, and fire descended from the firmament. It was a mixture of holographic projection and directed energy weapons, summoned by the AI, but to the masses, it looked like a miracle. "The spirits are with us!" D'Amico roared. "Why do these fundamentalists oppose the wonders of the age?" The persecution intensified. Believers were dragged from their homes. Televised tribunals mocked them. They were labeled haters of humanity. "Why do you insist on a creator outside of the system?" the tribunal judge asked a young man named Thomas on live stream. "Because the beast you serve is a liar," Thomas said, his voice calm. "He is the father of lies. This world is a flat enclosure, a testing ground, and your time is short." Thomas was executed on air, disintegrated by a focused laser. The crowd cheered. For 1,260 days, the faithful prophesied in sackcloth. They were betrayed by parents, children, and friends. But the Spirit of God sustained them. They learned to survive on little, to navigate by the stars on the dome, to trust in the density of the earth and the glory of the Most High. But the 42 months of warning were coming to an end. The patience of the beast was exhausted. Chapter 3. The Mark of the Serpent. The announcement came on the winter solstice. The world's screens turned black, then illuminated with the seal of the papacy. The triple crown combined with the inverted pentagram, stylized as unity. Pope Aurelius appeared. He looked younger, revitalized by the life extension therapies reserved for the elite. "Children of Earth," he began, his voice soothing. "We have tolerated the dissenters for 3.5 years. We have offered them re-education. We have offered them love. They have returned only hatred and division. They threaten the stability of our globe." He paused, leaning forward. "The time for choosing is over. To ensure the safety of the collective, we are implementing the final stage of our evolution, the sacrament of allegiance." Elias, watching from a solar-powered tablet in a forest hideout, felt the blood drain from his face. "In 30 days, the Pope continued, every citizen of the 10 regions must present themselves to their local basilica or processing center. You will renounce the old divisiveness. You will pledge your soul to the light-bearer, the architect of this world. As a token of this eternal covenant, you will receive the Lucis mark." A graphic appeared. It was a bioluminescent tattoo, infused with nanotechnology, placed on the right hand or the forehead. It connected the human nervous system directly to the AGI cloud. "Without this mark," the Pope said, his voice dropping to a growl. "No man or woman may buy, sell, trade, or hold employment. You will be cut off. You will be non-entities. You will be purged." The ultimatum had been given. Panic swept through the underground church. This was it, the point of no return. "It is not just a chip," Elias told the trembling group of 50 people hiding with him. "It is worship. It is a spiritual contract. If you take it, you belong to him. Forever." The 30 days passed in a blur of agony. The falling away happened in waves. People who had claimed to believe in God, who had attended the underground meetings, broke under the pressure. "I have children, Elias," one man wept as he packed his bag to go to the city. "God will understand. I can't let them starve." "He will not understand idolatry," Elias begged. "Do not do this." But they left. Millions capitulated. The fear of hunger, the fear of losing their comfortable lives, was too great. When the deadline struck, the world went dark for the remnant. Their digital credits vanished. Their access to water grids was cut. They were enemies of the state. The mark was enforced. The worship of the dragon and the beast was now the law of the land. Those who refused, the symbolic 144,000, the faithful seed of the woman, withdrew deeper into the wilderness. They went to the high places, the deep caves, the desolate corners of the flat earth where the AGI drones struggled to navigate. They waited, for they knew what came next. The mercy of God had been withdrawn from the nations. Now came the wrath. Chapter 4. The 7 Last Plagues. The transition was abrupt. The day after the final deadline for the mark, the sky changed. The artificial stabilizers of the firmament seemed to glitch. The first plague, a sore, noisome, and grievous, broke out upon the men which had the mark of the beast, and upon them which worshipped his image. Revelation 16:2. It started in the cities. The nanotechnology in the mark malfunctioned, or perhaps it functioned exactly as the malice of Satan intended. The flesh around the brand began to rot. It was an agony that painkillers could not touch. Elias and his group watched from a ridge overlooking a valley town. They saw the smoke of burning bodies. They checked their own skin. It was smooth. The plague did not touch the faithful. "God is shielding us," Sarah whispered, tears streaming down her face. The second and third plagues. The seas and the rivers turned to blood. The AGI systems panicked. The water purification plants in the megacities failed. The oceans, flat and vast, turned the color of a corpse. The stench was unbearable. The false prophet D'Amico tried to claim it was eco-terrorism by the rebels, but the scientists knew the chemical composition was impossible. It was biological blood. The wicked drank blood, for they were worthy. Meanwhile, in the wilderness, Elias struck a rock in a dry creek bed, and clear, cool water sprang forth. Bread appeared in the mornings, manna, white and sweet like coriander seed. The remnant was fed while the beast's kingdom starved. The fourth plague. The sun was given power to scorch men with fire. The thermal regulators of their regional protection domes failed. The sun, a localized light within the firmament, flared with intensity. The heat in the cities became an oven. Asphalt melted. The skin of those with the sores blistered and burned. And yet, they blasphemed the name of God. Revelation 16:9. They did not repent. They cursed the sky god and doubled down on their worship of the system, begging the AI for salvation that could not come. The fifth plague. Darkness fell upon the seed of the beast. Years had passed. The suffering was immense. Suddenly, the artificial lights of the new world failed. The sun dimmed to a sackcloth of hair. A supernatural darkness, thick and cold, enveloped the headquarters of the beast in Europe and spread to the 10 regions. It was a darkness that could be felt. The pain of their sores and burns was amplified by the sensory deprivation. They gnawed their tongues for pain. Revelation 16:10. Elias sat by a campfire that burned bright and warm. In the dwellings of the righteous, there was light. It has been nearly 7 years, Elias said, his beard gray and long. We are close. The world was broken. The population had plummeted. The beast system was crumbling, its technology useless against the judgments of the Almighty. The 6th plague. The great river Euphrates was dried up. The barrier holding back the east dissolved. The demonic spirits, looking like frogs, issued from the mouth of the Pope, the false prophet, and the invisible dragon. They went forth to the kings of the earth, gathering them to the battle of that great day of God Almighty. They are gathering at Megiddo, the reports came over the ham radios the remnant used. The armies of the 10 regions, they are preparing to fight. But who? They are preparing to fight the king, Elias said, looking up at the dome. Chapter 5. The breaking of the firmament. The deception was the final card. As the 7th year drew to a close, a light appeared in the sky. It was not the sun. It was a dazzling holographic projection of immense beauty. A figure descended from the clouds, hovering just above the ground in Region 1. He was beautiful, radiant, with eyes like soft fire. He spoke with a voice that resonated in the minds of all, via the neural link of the mark. I have returned, the being said. I am the Christ. I am the Maitreya. I am the Imam Mahdi. I am the culmination of your evolution. The disasters were a test, and you have failed to unify completely. But I am here to bring peace. The armies lowered their weapons. The suffering masses wept with relief. He walks among them, Sarah cried, watching through binoculars from a safe distance. Is it him? Elias, is it him? Elias grabbed her arm. Look at his feet. Does he touch the ground? Sarah looked. The radiant figure was walking on the scorched earth of the Vatican Square. He is touching the ground, she whispered. Then it is the devil, Elias said firmly. Matthew 24:26-27. If they say, Behold, he is in the desert, go not forth. For as the lightning cometh out of the east, and shineth even unto the west, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. And Zechariah says his feet shall stand on the Mount of Olives, and it shall cleave in two. But Paul says we shall be caught up to meet him in the air. The true Christ does not walk the earth before the restoration. This is the impostor. The remnant held fast. They did not bow. Satan, in his guise of light, turned his gaze toward the wilderness. There are still those who resist the love. He smiled a terrible, beautiful smile. Destroy them. The armies turned their cannons toward the hills. The drones swarmed. This was the end. The remnant was surrounded. Stand still, Elias shouted, his voice echoing in the canyon. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. And then the 7th plague occurred. A voice came out of the temple of heaven, from the throne, saying, It is done. The earth shook, not a tremor, but a convulsion. The flat circle of the world reeled to and fro like a drunkard. Every island fled away, and the mountains were not found. Hail, the weight of a talent, 75 pounds, fell from the firmament, crushing the armies of the beast, smashing the glass cities of the AGI. And then the sky tore open. It did not fade, it rolled back like a scroll. Revelation 6:14. The physical firmament, the dome that had enclosed humanity for 6,000 years, split down the center. The false Christ on the ground looked up and screamed, a sound of pure, unadulterated terror that shattered the windows of the Vatican. He dissolved, his disguise stripping away to reveal the dragon before being consumed by the brightness of the coming king. Through the massive rift in the firmament, true light poured in, not the light of the sun, but the unapproachable light of the Father. And there he was, riding upon the clouds of heaven, followed by the armies of the sky on white horses. the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. The gravity, the density, changed. Elias felt a vibration in his very marrow. He looked at Sarah. Her face was transforming. The dirt and wrinkles were vanishing, replaced by a glow of immortality. "The graves!" someone shouted. The earth cracked open around them. People from centuries past, martyrs, prophets, grandmothers who prayed, children who died in faith, rose from the dust. They were not zombies. They were glorious, shining like the sun. Elias looked at his own hands. The scars of the tribulation were gone. He felt lighter, strong, eternal. The 144,000, the living remnant, felt their feet leave the ground. "For the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout," Elias whispered, tears of joy blinding him, "with the voice of the archangel and with the trump of God, and the dead in Christ shall rise first." "Then we which are alive and remain," Sarah finished, floating upward beside him, "shall be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air." Below them, the beast and the false prophet were destroyed. The system of control, the lies of the globe, the AGI gods, all were consumed by the glory of the truth. Elias ascended through the shattered firmament, through the parted sea of glass, antitypical of the Exodus from Egypt, leaving the circle of the earth behind, rising toward the face of the one who had loved him enough to die and powerful enough to return. The tribulation was over. Eternity for believers had begun. Satan was left to roam the earth with no one to tempt or deceive, bound in a prison of his circumstances for 1,000 years.
For more Bible-based end-time prophecy dramas to strengthen your faith and the faith of others, help spread the word by supporting the channel. Please like, subscribe, and share.